Wow, Heath, you've been busy. Look at this mock-up.
Got a new hobby, Kevin.
I guess. You need better hobbies, but no, this is good.
So here's how it kind of started. I wanted to do a cutaway because I see Richard doing them all the time, showing tanks and everything. And it makes it really easy to explain things. So I wanted to kind of explain how three-way switching works when you have multiple switches, locations to control lights or whatever else. And I've been trying to cut one open to show the internals of it. It blows apart every time. I get springs going every which way. I just couldn't make it happen, so I built one instead.
Richard's cutaway career is safe. But you're coming at him with
I'm coming at him with
mock-up.
this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking three-way switches.
Yep.
Which, I'll be honest, as you know, I've called you on this many times. It confuses me, and I think it confuses a lot of people.
A lot of people. They can be very confusing until you understand how they operate. Then once you get that, it's usually fairly simple.
So how does a basic circuit work if we're just talking about a single switch?
So to keep it simple, what we typically have is we'd have a 2-wire and a 2-wire.
Yeah.
Our feed and our neutral, and a 2-wire going out.
And when you say feed and neutral, just for my purposes,
Yep.
in this case, the white is the neutral,
Yep.
the black is the feed.
Exactly. So we'd have power in, and then when you close the switch, power back out to whatever you're controlling. Let's say in this case, it's a light fixture. So the neutral will be made, this would be open. With the switch, you'd close the switch, those would touch, you open the switch, it opens.
Okay. And if we have two wires, then we need a switch, a simple switch.
A single switch.
So a toggle switch like this.
Yep.
2 wires means only 2 screws.
Correct.
Ignoring the ground.
Ignoring the
obviously.
ground for now, we're just talking about the circuit itself. So a black wire there, a black wire there, it's simply open and closed, open and closed.
Perfect. So if this were just a simple switch right here,
Yep.
it's very straightforward, right?
Yep, we have our white wire, our neutral going all the way to the light fixture. Then we have our black wire coming through,
And if I
Carrying
turn the
over.
switch on,
goes to the light, you can see it's a complete circuit.
and so we always have to have that circuit coming in, coming back. So if I turn it off, it just breaks it.
Just breaks it. That simple. It's just that one switch on, off, on, off.
Okay. In a three-way situation, we all know, we now have 2 switches, one when you get in the room, one when you leave the room, we'll say it,
Yep.
so that you can control from either side.
So with that, we just need a couple of different things. The first thing is we now need a piece of 3-wire going between instead of 2-wire.
Okay. So now we've got the traditional white, the black, but we've got the extra red.
Correct.
And you said we need a new switch, which means instead of a switch with the 2 screws,
Switch with 3 screws.
so the 2 brass, and in this case, a black.
Right.
Okay. And here's the hard part. This is what I always call you on. What do I screw into what?
It looks confusing, but let me try and make it as simple as possible. The easiest way for me to do this, and this can be done multiple ways, I always take the black and the red, and I always treat these as my travelers. You're going between the 2 switches. Those are going to our 2 brass screws. But we have a different colored screw. In this case, that's black. That's our common screw.
So similar screws are always the travelers,
Correct.
and the oddballs always the common?
It is. Picture it just like a little flapper going between. So this common screw is our base point. It just goes back and forth between those 2 terminals.
Connecting this to there or this to there.
Exactly. In this case, we're going to have 2 commons, one on each side. One's going to be our feed in, our power, and one's going to be the load out to the light.
So let's just look at what you've already wired.
Yep.
Here's our 3-wire, a 3-conductor in the middle. And if I turn this around,
Yep.
you've taken the black and the red and immediately put it on the 2 similar screws, in this case the brass screws.
Correct. Now we know those are out of the way.
Okay. And then you're taking the other wire,
Correct.
in this case up to the light,
Yep.
or in that case back to power.
And not breaking the neutral, which is why it's just wire nuts.
So you've connected via wire nut there,
Yep.
you've connected via wire nut here, continuous path.
Nice and simple. So this is what we're seeing inside this box. That white passes through, but is wire nutted straight to the light fixture. Our power in to our common. Our black and red are our travelers, and it goes to the other switch.
And that allows us to do what? If I'm in one side of the room and
Yep.
I want to turn it on,
Turn it on.
I can make the connection.
But if you want to turn it off,
I can go and break it over here. Huh. So again, continuous,
neutral's still intact, never broken.
but here's where the break happens.
And that's how that 3rd wire helps. Now you can control from multiple locations.
And if you wanted to turn it on over there, even though it's weird to put the switch down, it makes the connection.
Doesn't care where you are, you can come and go as you want.
Look at that over there. Okay. So I have to remember, if I've got a 3-way circuit set up, and for some reason it's not working, like
That
what
is
have
one
I
of the
done?
#1 calls.
Yeah, right. That's why I call you. I'm like, wait a second, I just put a dimmer.
Yeah, so we usually see 2 things happen. The first one and the most common is someone wants to install a dimmer. A lot of times you'll see 3-way switches, either a kitchen or a dining room, where you come in one side and out the other, and they want to put a dimmer on that light. It makes perfect sense. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll get a single pole dimmer, so it only has the 2 screws, not the 3 that we need. When they do that, they're only attaching two, they're not connecting anything to the other runner. So when you put the switch in one position, it'll work. When you turn it off,
The switch is useless.
it's not going to do anything for you.
Okay.
The other way we see it is if they have a switch that failed or they want to change them and update them to freshen them up. When they take the old three-way out, they didn't pay attention to what wire was what, and it happens all the time because you see a couple of black wires and a red wire in there. Well, I got screws. I'm just going to put them on there to be fine.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me like that?
I feel like I've gotten that phone call. When it goes back in, a lot of times the common, either the power or the light, ends up on one of the travelers. Same thing happens. When that happens, if one switch is in a certain position, it'll work. But when you put it in the other switch, the position, it won't work at all.
So is that why you like this configuration? Is that your sort of way of just kind of,
It's the simplest.
Simplest way.
So if you're not sure, if you're looking at something, just to take kind of the basic thought out of it to make it really, really simple and standard, I take that black and red every time. Those are my two travelers. Those are my brass screws. The wire that's left, that's not the neutral. The wire that's left over is simply my common.
Okay.
That makes it the easiest way to follow and troubleshoot.
If you have a three-way circuit, your switches have to have those 3 screws.
They do.
And then you have to get that common wired correctly.
Correct. Yep.
Excellent.
Once you figure that out, you can see how it operates. The rest is pretty simple.
So the only thing that I have a problem with is the fact that in my electrical bag with my linemans, my tape, my tester, I don't have room for this. And I need to take this with me.
I'll make you a video.
This is beautiful. Thank you, Heath.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project. So be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.